Little motherfucker gonna try to rob me. Well, I'm gonna show you how we do it up here in Benton. Look, I wasn't trying to rob. Shut up! Why I bust a cap up in you? Now who sent you?
Source up, we standing tall in your short stuff.
Yes.
Our lunch is the bullshit that you dressed up. Address us on scholarship, homie, knowing you're messed up. So fessed up, you look for the best, knowing that that's us. Source up, we standing tall in your short stuff.
Yes.
Our lunch is the bullshit that you dressed up. Address us on scholarship, homie, knowing you're messed up. So fessed up, you look for the best, knowing that that's us. Sword clown, know that it's over like it's the fourth down. We the source now. Hear a big bang with tanks on ground. More than the scrimmage, yeah, we forcing the sin, yeah, we pushing no limit. Leave the fight with no blemish. You the hometown, but you not receiving no privilege. We gon' do you bad, rape, rob, and pillage. But we nothing like the white man. I can see that you a big fan. Every time we go live, I see you in the damn stands. Watching and plotting, I see that you stalking a bit.
Yes.
Laughing at people, they seeing you taking
Here's
a
the
bit.
definition of plagiarism. The practice of taking someone else's work and ideas and using them all as
Crazy
one's own.
ass nigga, we the source. Yeah, we cite source. Spitting hot flames more hotter than hot sauce. Drummy ass nigga,
Yo, what's going on, family? Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. For those that don't know, my name is Jeremiah Yah. Please say the Yah. I am the CEO of the Source Debate League. I am the moray and teacher and elder of the House of the Redeemed Servant. And this is a new episode of Mute Your Weak Mic. Now, there's been a lot of controversy as of late in my immediate circle concerning whitewashing of history. And the brother who's having a problem comprehending this understanding will remain nameless. But brother, you know exactly who you are. Okay. Let's make that extremely clear. Right. So we're going to go into some information. We're going to look over some history. YouTube is a very different place, man. Back in 08, 09, 2010, YouTube back in 08 would only let you do 10-minute videos. Right. So if you are on here and you don't know nothing about 10-minute videos, you ain't been around that long. Okay. So back then, the information was a lot more free flowing. Even when utilizing Google, it was a lot more less control concerning the free flowing of information. So you could find a lot of stuff. A lot of that stuff you can't find anymore because it's controlled, especially ever since Leo Cohen came on as the CEO of YouTube. So a lot of historical information has been taken off of YouTube. So when you go and you look up stuff, you said, I used to see this on YouTube. I don't see it no more. There's a reason for that. All right. There's a reason for that. Also with Google, it's stuff that I looked up 6 months ago that ain't on there anymore. Right. And so the problem is this, family. People have become more trusting of Google and AI overview greater than historical books and references. Right. So instead of getting the entire scope of a particular thought on whatever subject that may be being covered, instead of sitting down and taking the time to read the information in its totality, instead of doing that, brothers and sisters seem to just rely on AI overview, get a little snippet of what it's talking about, and then they come to their mind that they have a full understanding of what is being conveyed or concerning a certain topic. They don't need it. They don't need it anymore, right? So that's an issue, especially when you're entering in scholastic discussions and debates. AI overview is only going to give you a overview or a skim or a cap on the information within itself. So when you're bringing the information out, if somebody want to refute it, you're easily debunked because you haven't read the information or did the research in its totality. That's an issue. That's an issue because when we enter into these biblical discussions, historical discussions, you don't know nothing about it. So while the person is talking, you sitting there Googling, and whatever comes up on Google, first thing come up, you read it a little bit, and then that's what you make your argument with. That is probably the worst way to research and study information that you could ever imagine. But this is what we have to contend with regularly concerning history and concerning biblical understanding. That's what we have to deal with. As if AI overview is the end all be all. This is what is being told to me, right? Oh, well, brother, it's surfing the entire web, and it's a library of collection of information. It takes all the information and put it in one thing, and that's why it's trustworthy. That is ridiculous and absurd, man. All right? That's the lowest form of scholarship you could ever imagine. Once again, right? So what is the proper way to study? What is the proper way to vet information? Well, peer review is a great way to vet information. Also, understanding the author, the archaeologist, the anthropologist that is doing the study within itself, and how credible that individual is concerning his historical work. So that's an issue. So I was watching YouTube, and there's a comedian, and we're going to go through a few clips here. So we want to talk about Black presence in ancient Europe, right? A lot of this information that's going to be brought out is going to be from the perspective of comparing the appearance of the ancient Europeans to Africa, as if African people migrated from Africa and got into Europe, and that's the only way that you have Black presence in Europe. Well, that's a misnomer. The out of Africa theory have been debunked. Who are, according to the Bible, who are biblical Africans? Well, biblical Africans are Hamites. Well, where did Ham start at, right? We're going to go here. Let me share my screen real quick. I want to show you something, right? This is Bible Gateway. Let's go here. I think I'm already in there. All right, let's see. Am I sharing my screen? Bible Gateway. Yeah, let's go here. All right. So when you go to Genesis 10, let's start there, right? Let's start there. All right, so it says here, where do we want to start at? Let's see here. All right, so verse 6, the sons of Ham, Cush and Mithraim, put in Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba, Hava, Sapta, Ramah, and Sabatek, and the sons of Ramah. Right, let's drop down here. Verse 8 says, and Cush begat who? Nimrod. These are the Hamites. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Africa? No, Babel. Where is Babel located? And Iraq, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Now, the land of Shinar, family, is ancient Sumer. That is in the Fertile Crescent of ancient Mesopotamia, right? So that's not Africa. So we already have black people, Hamites, that you're claiming is African. Already, they began in Mesopotamia. They did not begin in Africa. So that destroys the out of Africa theory. No, it did not begin in Africa. It began in the Fertile Crescent, right? So it's important that we understand that, right? It's important that we understand that. So when we start to talk about the people of Europe, the original inhabitants of Europe, I'm going to present information. Again, from these videos, they're going to be speaking from the perspective of comparing the appearance of these people to Africans, right? They're comparing the appearance of these people to Africans. And they do not have the paradigm in which I have concerning the biblical perspective. So I'm showing you here that the ancient people of Africa did not begin in Africa. They began in Mesopotamia. And then you had the Tower of Babel, the split, Genesis chapter 11. You had then they went forth and occupied different planes of the earth. All right. So during the Tower of Babel, you had Ham, Shem, and Japheth all in one location, which is where? Ancient Mesopotamia, destroying the out of Africa theory. From the Tower of Babel, they split and spread forth on the earth. All right. Predominantly, Ham ended up in Africa. All right. So that's where we find the land of ancient Ethiopia, which is the Cushites, the land of Egypt, which is Mithraim, right, which is the son of Cush, right, and Libya, or Foot. The biblical name of Libya is Foot. These are the locations of the sons of Ham. So it's important that you understand that, right? So I'm going to share this video. Let's go to the first clip. Let's go to the first clip. All right. That's not what I want. All right, let's look at this one.
I guess some archaeologists found an Egyptian head with some very prominent, what most people would call African or black features. He had very full lips, prominent nose, yada, yada, yada. And all I was saying, I just made a point and say, man, those features look very Afrocentric. That's all I was saying. That was all I was saying. I didn't realize that people were going to get that upset. The people, see, why you got to bring race into it? First of all, it's funny how, look, the reason why, let me just explain why I said something about it in the first place. The reason I was saying that is because so many people have said that Egypt is not even a part of Africa, and none of the Egyptians have never been black, even though the name of Egypt was originally ancient Kemet, which means black land. That's all I was saying. And I was saying that is because people say, well, why? Somebody in the comments said, why is it important for black people to be proud? They got to be black in order for black people to be proud. No. That is not the case. That is not the case. But this is the thing about it. Because people love to ask, why is race important? Or why is the color or the race of a specific people, or why is that important? It's important enough for somebody to take your...
Oh, brother, I'll say it. This is the quickest way to clear out stuck poop.
Right
The
on
number one
point.
food for regular BMs, huh?
Your
Okay,
comment.
let's.
Power thou
And
sayest.
you ask, why is that important? It was important enough for somebody to say, oh, we're not going to mention the fact that this was a black person that did this. That ought to let you know that it's important enough for you to try to take that out of history. If race is not important at all, then why did it change? Why is it trying to be omitted? That's a better question. No, you don't have to be black for black people to be proud of you. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous thought. But why would you take that out of history, or why would you try to omit it? Why would you try to say, well, let's keep this fact from history? Let's say everything about this.
So someone is doing that. Someone is omitting history on purpose. So this is what we're bringing out. People ain't comprehending this. This brother that I'm talking to ain't comprehending this, that someone is actually doing this on purpose, right? For white supremacy. That's why, right? And so this brother is speaking on it. He's a comedian, but he has certain restrictions. He's not as free as I am and Maharaka is, right? So he can't say exactly what he wants to say, but he's letting you know this is the problem, family.
Accept the fact that these were people of color. If it's not important, then why omit it? Why depict them as another color if color is not important? And I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of people out there that just aren't thinking as far as you have certain people who have two different agendas in life. Some people just like to live and be happy on their own accord and live off of their own merit. Like, I'm going to go out here and I'm going to work.
See, he got to say all this, right? So to try to be politically correct, not offend nobody. But the truth is, our oppressors omit information for white supremacy purposes. We're not doing that. They are doing that. And then the Hebrew Israelites get accused of doing that, when all we're doing is actually bringing out the truth. And then when the truth is brought forth, they say we're trying to make everything black. But contrary to popular belief, everything originated with melanin. Adam was made from the dust of the ground. He wasn't made from sand, man. So he's not going to have the modern European appearance.
And I'm going to build my own. I'm going to have my own. And I'll live my life according to my own work and my own value. Then you have other people out here in the world, not all, but some people. They're going.
Yeah, man. He's trying to be very Maracai. He's trying to be very politically correct. He's nervous too. You're like, should I say this?
Goal is not peace, harmony, equity, or equality. That is not what they want. Their goal is supremacy.
Right.
And these are people of any color. I'm just saying their goal is.
Now it's people of any color, but there's only one group of people that's actually on top that has the ability to place this upon other people, who have the power to inflict this upon other people.
I want to have power over other people. And I'm not saying a specific group of people. I'm just saying that everybody does not have the same agenda.
Yeah, you hear him he's trying hard to be politically correct, man. But listen, man, come on, man. Cut the madness.
Brother,
and because of that, when
if you don't go
people
outside, just go outside, brother.
Right.
You ain't fooling nobody but yourself. They listening to you right now.
Right.
We know you talking about the white people.
Right.
Cut
If
it
you
out.
look through any history, certain people feel like they should be dominant or prominent over other people, then they're not going to show you anybody of any high value that looks like the people that they're trying to dominate. Why do
Who
you think all of the accomplishments?
Who you talking about? They know you talking about them. They, the people.
Yeah. Listen, man. What's so crazy is the problem is people don't understand population replacement. People look in Egypt and they see the modern sand-colored people over there today, and they think that that's how Egypt always have been, and it is not true because of invasions, because of wars, because of new regimes. Brothers don't know this though. They just look and just think, oh, that's what they look like, so that's how they always look. That is incorrect.
All of the inventions and everything are not in American history books. All the accomplishments of any black person, very few accomplishments are in American history books because historically, might not be going on now, but historically,
You hear that?
if
That's
I'm
not
trying
going on
to,
now. Then well, show me the historical book where they're teaching about Black history in college, in high school, in elementary. What you mean it ain't going on now?
keep prominence or dominance over a group of people, I'm not going to tell these people about all the great inventions and all the great achievements that that came out of this particular group. I'm not going to tell you about Black Wall Street. I'm not going to tell you about Madam C.J. Walker. I'm not. If I'm gonna tell you, okay, George Washington Carver invented peanut butter, but I'm not going to tell you all of the other stuff that he did. I'm not going to tell you that Garrett Morris invented the gas mask and the stoplight. I'm not going to tell you this stuff because that gives you a sense of empowerment. And if you have a sense of empowerment, if you have a sense of self-esteem, then it's hard for me to control you, because I'm constantly showing you people who look like you, who did great things. It's easy for me to control you if I say, nobody that ever looked like you ever did anything important. And we have people in America who think that right now, that people, there's no person of color that ever did anything great for America. I saw a video, guys.
Right. So I wanted to share that because I wanted to begin this conversation concerning that white supremacy is a real thing, right? And it is dominating our society and the world landscape. And right now, today, we are suffering from white supremacy. So much so now they're trying to make the Egyptians white. So I want to share another video, all right, just showing that they're purposely doing this, right? 1 second, family, right? All right.
Currently there's a huge debate going on about ancient Egypt, and we tried to cover a few of them on this channel. And honestly, it's tiring because it's almost like talking about something that's nonsense because there's archaeological findings that we have talked about, there are actual historical facts. But for some unknown reason, some people don't want to associate ancient Egypt with black. Let me show you this clip of an Egyptian brother I found on TikTok. He goes by the name of Sufi Alchemy. And let me tell you, he gathered the Egyptians that are pushing back. Watch this clip, we'll come back and discuss.
Dark-skinned people here in Egypt are of completely different features and culture than
Assalamu alaikum. You mean the alkaline Hamitic features like myself? My skin color, my nose, my small lips, etc.? Sure, maybe the New Kingdom and the Ptolemaic period pharaohs would look like me, such as Ramses III. But I'm mixed. It doesn't say anything about my forefathers. My forefathers are dark-skinned Fulani. And so was the forefathers of Ramses III and these New Kingdom pharaohs, who were exposed to a lot of invasions and trades and immigrations from Europe and other parts of the world. So your argument is essentially like saying, I am brown, I have alkaline features, therefore my great-grandfather was also brown with alkaline Hamitic features. No, he wasn't. It's because my mother is white. So essentially, you deny the Old Kingdom and Middle Kingdom pharaohs, which had typical African features, and that is the part of what you say, which may be interpreted as a little bit racist. Then you go about comparing modern Egyptian identity and modern Nubian identity with ancient Kemet. That's completely invalid because we don't care about modern Egypt in terms of identities. We care about the ancient Kemites 3,000 years ago. You know, it's 3,000 years. Things have happened that time, right? I mean, you wear a hijab, you're maybe a Muslim, huh? Where the ancient Kemites, Muslim and wearing a hijab, just trying to prove a point. That came with the Umayyad invasion when Sayyidina Usman got assassinated and the Umayyad cousins took power and invaded North Africa. People migrate tremendously, huh? Look at Dubai today. Most people in Dubai are immigrants. Look at New York, filled with immigrants.
Right.
Amsterdam, filled with immigrants. The entire North Africa is filled with immigrants. I mean, the true people there are the natives. What do you think has happened to Egypt the last 3,000 years with invasions from Assyrians, Persians, Phoenicians, Romans, Greeks, you name it. So this argument that that land, a nation that you today call Egypt, has always been like that is completely false. Some people cite the 2017 DNA study, which actually doesn't say what people say it does, because I read the study in the Nature journal. Yeah, that's one study looking at 2 or 3 mummies. What about the 160 mummies that they didn't publish, right? What about the 1990 study that nobody talks about that showed sub-Saharan in the mummies? What about Sheikh?
You see that? So they did a study. They try to utilize DNA. The brother that I'm having a conversation with always want to try to go to DNA. Oh, well, DNA this and DNA that. Listen, man, that man just made a powerful point. I'm going to run this back. They did a study. They did a study on DNA, found a few mummies that had European DNA, and then encapsulated that as the whole representation of ancient Egypt. And now they come out and say Egypt is not black. But what about the 160 different mummies that they have found? Well, let me go back. Let me go back.
2017 DNA study, which actually doesn't say what people say it does, because I read the study in the Nature journal. Yeah, that's one study looking at 2 or 3 mummies. What about the 160 mummies that they didn't publish, right? What about the 1990 study that nobody talks about that showed sub-Saharan in the mummies? What about Sheikh Anta Diop's tests and so on? So you cannot just take one study and point to something. Yes, sure, there may be people in Egypt today and Nubia today who are direct distant descendants of some pharaoh. I mean, there would have been many people in ancient Egypt, but since people have migrated there for the last 3,000 years, you can have people in West Africa also are descendants of them. You can have people in Iran who may trace their lineage back to ancient Kemet. I mean, people move. So this kind of argument, let's assume that people don't migrate. People are static only in that geographic region. They don't move. There are no...
Right. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Population replacement. Oh, people just static. And what you see in that land today is an exact representation of antiquity, and that is horribly incorrect.
assume that people don't migrate. People are static only in that geographic region. They don't move. There are no wars. There are no changing of people. It's completely historyless. It's a naive argument that can be disproven as simply as just looking at your random city in Europe today. And the idea that just because I have Alkaline Hamitic futures, my fathers also had Hamitic futures, that can change in 1 or 2 generations. Or the argument that the Egyptians today have some kind of proprietary right to history. So I don't know what to say. It's ego, all I can say.
On that clip, he was responding to an Egyptian that is just angry that Black people believe that there are Black pharaohs and Black people that used to rule ancient Egypt. And she was claiming that, like, why are you doing this? Like, that's not your history. This is our history. And as you heard, he made good points. Like, just because right now, after all those invasions, after mixing and after.
So my point in sharing this, family, is to bring forth a certain level of understanding concerning population replacement and migration, wars, and illness, and whether or not people are static or whether or not they have traveled the entire globe. It's very important that you understand this, because you're not going to, when you're in a conversation with someone and you don't have certain resources at your fingertips, right, to show them that they're wrong, they immediately go to Google and use Google as a primary source when Google is not a primary source. Google is a place where you can get sources, but Google itself is not a primary source. But this is the way brothers argue today. Complete ignorance concerning population replacement and migration, right? Showing that, as the brother stated, pheno can change in 1 or 2 generations. What you see today is not an exact representation of antiquity. The brother told me, oh yeah, I know they was dealing with whitewashing in Europe, in England and in Scotland, but I didn't know that they was doing whitewashing in Egypt. Well, why don't you know that, man? What is wrong with you? Right? You're speaking on a subject from a position of authority, telling me I'm wrong, right? But not taking in consideration your source is Google AI overview. This is what we got to contend with today, Maharaka. Right? The absurdity of it, family. The absurdity of it. Now, again, as the brother said earlier, the comedian brother that I played first, there are a group of people that want to exhort superiority. But all you got to do genetically is look at the NFL, look at the NBA, look in track and field. What happened in Germany when those Black brothers and sisters went over there and turned Germany upside down in the Olympics to show God-gifted ability being given to one group of people over another? And where do we see this at? Where do we see this at? Genesis chapter 25. Let's look at it. Let's look at it, right? Let's look at it. It says here, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Let me see if I want this. Let's go up here. Verse 22. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, 2 manner of people shall be what? separated. No, all together, separated. No, in a rainbow coalition, kumbaya, separated from thy bowels, and one people shall be what? Stronger than the other. Now, what stronger how? Oh, in God-given ability, strength, speed, intelligence. One shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So if you want to know which one is going to be stronger, if the elder is serving the younger, which one is stronger? The younger. Who's the younger? Jacob. Right? And when her days to be delivered was when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called what? Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when she bore them. See? So what do we see on the landscape? What do we see on the landscape? Right? So we're going to go to the next clip, because what I want to do and what I want to end this video with it is understanding that the videos that I'm sharing are not from a biblical perspective. They are mostly coming from the out of Africa theory, but yet still substantiating Black presence in Europe. All right. So let's take a look at this. They sat on thrones. The name of this video is They Sat on Thrones. The Black Kings of Russia Forgotten. Let's go.
In the shadowy reaches of the Caucasus Mountains, where the winds of time whisper secrets and the stones themselves remember, lies a land called Abkhazia. This misty coastal stretch along the Black Sea has long puzzled scholars and silenced truth seekers. For buried beneath its pine-scented hills and ancient towers is a tale few dare to tell. A tale of black nobility, of a dark-skinned people who once ruled the heights of Russia before history was rewritten, distorted, and drowned in whiteness. The Abkhazians, known today as a mysterious Caucasian ethnic group, were once the ancient Black Russians. They were not visitors. They were not slaves. They were kings, priests, builders, warriors, and settlers whose legacy reaches back thousands of years into a time when the African presence in Eurasia was as natural as the sun rising in the east. Ancient sources once spoke freely of these early Black populations in regions that now evoke Slavic imagery: Georgia, Armenia, Chechnya, and even parts of southern Russia. But with the rise of European nationalism, colonial racial science, and the whitening of world history, this truth was buried under waves of propaganda. But now, with artificial memory full of cross-referencing ancient maps, linguistics, DNA studies, and neglected historical records, the memory is returning. And AI is now beginning to confirm what many Afrocentric scholars have long maintained. The original peoples of many Eurasian territories, including Russia, were African in origin. The Abkhazians, in particular, are one of the most intriguing remnants of this Black Eurasian legacy. Their name is ancient, linked in some linguistic circles to the Egyptian Pakaz, meaning House of the Nobles, or Noble Ones. Their mythology echoes the cosmologies of Nubia and Kemet, with ancestral spirits, divine kingship, and ritual practices that seem far more aligned with African spirituality than European orthodoxy. Even today, their songs and dances bear an uncanny resemblance to West African traditions. Their polyphonic chanting mirrors that of the Mbuti of the Congo.
Here's how my husband said goodbye to softness and keeps his tool hard whenever he wants. My husband threw
their circular war dance.
All right, so yeah, that was wild. That's wild, man. You know what I mean? So all praise and glory to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. This place is finished.
I was dozed like oh.
Yo, that was wild.
You want to bring out this knowledge?
I got something for thouest, right? That's unbelievable. So anyway, family, the point is this, right? Now what they're calling Khazar or Khazab, right, is dealing with the ancient Khazarians. Now, the ancient Khazarians, family, I want to share some information with you. Okay, so this is a brother by the name of Ibn Fetterlin. All right, so a lot of propaganda have went out against this book, Arthur Koestler, the 13th Tribe. Why? Because this is a so-called Jewish man who is telling the truth concerning the origins and the conversion of modern Judaism into modern Jews converting into Judaism, right? And you know what they did to this man? They killed him and his wife, while they laid in a bed. He's dead, okay? But this man was drawing his source information from this primary source eyewitness account. Don't play with me, man. I'm the CEO of the Source Debate League, okay? Understand this, man. So this guy, Ibn Fetterlin, is the primary source. He went into Khazaria and seen the people and met their kings. All right. So before you try to bring up your slander against Arthur Koestler, because there's much, Negroes want to go hurry up and Google. Let me go Google Arthur Koestler, and then all of the propaganda against Arthur Koestler come up and they say this is not a credible source. Okay, do that with Ibn Fetterlin. Do that with him. Okay, because it's not much propaganda that have been written up against this guy, who's an eyewitness. He's from Baghdad in the 7th century AD, who went into the Caucasus Mountains and met these people. And Arthur Koestler quoted that he was his primary source. All right, so let's make that clear. So I just showed you the Europeans of Khazaria, which are black, and they said of African origins or African features. So what this is telling you and I'm going to prove it right now.
Particularly, they mentioned the West Coast.
Right. I'm going to prove it right now that Japhet is originally black. Okay. So those are the people that it is in reference to. They're saying African so you can understand their melanin and their facial features, how it would look and appear, right? So in the book Arthur Koestler, the 13th Tribe, page 22, it says this in the second paragraph.
Page 22, hold on, let me get my word, brother.
Come.
I got mine.
Right. Good. You can read that for us, man. Start at the right. Go ahead and put you to work, brother.
Brother.
You put the work, brother. Come on with it. Some Persian and Arab chronicles.
Some Persians and Arab chronicles provide an attractive combination of legend, and gossip column. They may start with the curation and end with stop press tidbits. Thus, Yakubu,
Yacobi.
A 9th century Arab historian, traces the origin of the Khazars back to Japhet, third son of Noah.
Come on.
The Japhet motive recurs frequently in the literature, while other legends connect them with Abraham or Alexander the Great. One of the earliest factual references to the Khazars occur in a Sirach chronicle by Zechariah Rector, dating from the middle of the 6th century. It mentions the Khazars and a list of people who inhabit the region of the Caucasus. Other sources indicate that they were already much in evidence a century earlier and intimately connected with the Huns. In AD 448, the Byzantine Empire, Theodosius II sent an embassy to Attila, which included a famed rhetorician by name of Precius, Precius, I think Prescius. Prescius, right? He kept a minute account not only of the diplomatic negotiations, but also of the court intrigues and goings on in Attila's sumptuous banqueting hall. He was, in fact, the perfect gossip columnist and is still one of the main sources of information about Huns' customs and habits. But Perkius also has antidotes to tell about a people subject to the Huns, whom he calls Akazars, that is very likely the Khazars,
the
Khazars, or white Khazars, or white Khazars,
white Khazar, as distinct from the black Khazars. So hold your book up because it shows real good on your side. All right. Now, on the cover of the book, this is the end result, family. This is the end result. These are the white Khazars. So if these are the white Khazars and this is what we have today as Jewish people, what was the color? I mean, what was the black Khazars? Those are the original people that are descended from Japhet, as we just read. Now, how do we know that this is the end result? So what happened to the original? If these is the end result, what happened to the original Khazars, which were black? Let's read on. Let's read on. Pick up at page 23 at the top.
All right. It says the Byzantine Empire, Prescius tells us, tried to win this warrior race over to his side, but the greedy Khazar chieftain named Caradoc considered the bribe offered to him inadequate and sided with the Huns.
Sided
with the Huns.
So he sided with the Huns. So now we have the Khazars, which is the second-class citizens to the Khazarians, came in, and Attila the Hun did what? We're about to find out. Read.
Attila defeated Caradoc's rival chieftains, installed him as the sole ruler of the Khazars, and invited him to visit his court.
See that? So he defeated his rivals. So you have the second-class citizens, the white Khazars. And then you had the main Khazarians, which were black, right? Because it says right here what? Priscus also has anecdotes telling us about a people subject to the Hun. Who was these people that were subject to the Huns? Whom he called Akhazars. That is very likely the Akhazars are white Khazarians. So the white Khazarians are the ones that were subject to the Huns. And then when Attila took down his rivals, they became the primary representation of Khazarians. Who? The white Khazars. So the black Khazars was what? The ones that are descended from Japhet, which means what? Japhetic people are what color, Maharaka?
Black people of color.
Clear as day, right? I just want to know if you all can see this, man, because I just played a video that speaks about these people. Let's go back. Let's go back. Hold on.
And AI is now beginning to confirm what many Afrocentric scholars have long maintained. The original peoples of many Eurasian territories, including Russia, were African in origin. The Abkhazians, in particular, are one of the most intriguing remnants of this Black Eurasian legacy. Their name is ancient, linked in some linguistic circles to the Egyptian Pakaz, meaning house of the nobles, or noble ones. Their mythology echoes the cosmologies of Nubia and Kemet, with ancestral spirits, divine kingship, and ritual practices that seem far more aligned with African spirituality than European orthodoxy. Even today, their songs and dances bear an uncanny resemblance to West African traditions. Their polyphonic chanting mirrors that of the Mbuti of the Congo.
So,
West African.
Right. Right. So
the transatlantic slave trade was being dominated.
So now look at this. Khazarian, early 20th century Russian. You see this, brother? Now what I'm saying, Maharaka, right? What I'm saying cannot be limited to, oh, well, these Hebrew Israelites are always trying to make everybody black. No, I'm bringing forth the history which have been skewed. When you think of Russians, you don't think of black people. That's why you got Negroes in. One second, can y'all hear me? All right.
Yeah.
That's why you got certain Hebrew Israelites that are teaching Esau is not the white man. They are teaching that Japheth is white. Show me in the Bible where it describes Japheth as white. Show it to me. Because I know there's a description of Esau. I know Esau intermarried with the Horites. I know what the description of the Horites are. You can't even tell me who the Horites descend from. So now we're bringing forth the information that the original Europeans are black. Again, in this particular video, it's making reference to Africa simply because of the appearance of these people have African features. But as I showed you, Africa is primarily originally made up of Ham. And I showed you that at the beginning of this video, Genesis chapter 10. that the original Hamites did not begin in Africa. They began in Mesopotamia. Nimrod, the son of Cush, who is the son of Ham, began the Tower of Babel. He created the tower. He was the king of Shinar, which is ancient Sumer. So the original Hamites began up there. Where? Mesopotamia, south of the Caucasus Mountains. Now, white people today call themselves Caucasian because of what transpired with these Khazars that were
You're in a frozen world like this.
That was subject to the Huns. All right. So now we're going to deal with Greece. And I think this is powerful here. I'm going to share another video, right? Dealing with Greece. Yeah, I know the screen froze for a minute. My apologies. If I'm loud, you can leave the program. You don't have to stay here. All right. I'm passionate. All right. Somebody said it.
We're going to try to dictate how you run your program.
Right.
All type of podcasts and people talking about all type of things all around YouTube in the world. And they're going to do and run their show how they choose to. If anybody have a problem, then you can always start you up a YouTube channel, start your own podcast, and do it the way you feel it should be done. It's easy.
Right. All right. So let's deal with the ancient Greece. Were the ancient Greeks melanated? Let's see.
Set up cities and had civilized the Greeks.
Dishonest historians have given us a distorted view of the Aegean civilization for centuries.
Okay, now let's get a closer look. Detail of one of Memnon's Negro companions, 530 BC. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Hey, that gotta be Elder Nathaniel from IUIC, huh? Maharaka. You're on mute, bro.
Oh, say it again.
That's gotta be Elder Nathaniel.
Back a little bit. Let me hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back. I'll go back.
And the Greeks had been living there in a rather primitive level, and along had come Egyptians and Phoenicians.
And I asked the brother, I said, hey man, have you seen all those Greek paintings that show black Greeks and white Greeks? Well, here's the evidence.
The Greeks had been living there in a rather primitive level, and along had come Egyptians and Phoenicians, and these people had set up cities and had civilized the Greeks.
Dishonest historians have given us a distorted view of the Aegean civilization for centuries.
Okay, now let's get a closer look. Detail of one of Memnon's Negro companions, 530 BC. Oh, there you go. There you go.
But when you actually look at the evidence,
that's Nathaniel, ain't it, Mahal?
Yes, Nathaniel.
Evidence with an unfiltered lens.
That's what we were always told, yeah. Now, where do you think this is? Actually, it comes from Saqqara in Egypt, which were built over 2,000 years before the Parthenon.
You come to realize that the very basis of what they termed the Greek miracle wasn't a miracle at all, but a veritable cultural download and a genetic seeding, telling a story that is completely different from what we have been made to believe. In 1985, in what can be considered one of the best books on the matter of history, the author pointed out a historical quote that would henceforth open the eyes of an army of would-be enlightened souls, and it reads, "The true home of the Greeks, before they won domination, in Greece, had passed clean out of their remembrance. They looked to the east, not to the north, as the quarter from which some of their ancestors had migrated. It then clarifies, saying, according to it, Greece had originally been inhabited by primitive tribes, Pelagians and others, and had then been settled by Egyptians and Phoenicians, who built cities and introduced irrigation. The pillars of history sing the wisdom that will build our tomorrow. This is the Without History channel. Every episode, we bring you salient facts about African history and detail how these events shaped our past. Without History does not accept any sponsorship so that we can remain independent. The author Frank M. Snowden Jr. stated in his book, The Ethiopians and the Greco-Roman Experience, that the Africans who came to ancient Greece and Italy participated in an important chapter of classical history, but it wasn't just a participatory role.
Best 200-word essay in 10 minutes will win $200. I think I'll win.
No, I'm gonna win.
They're both.
In fact, the
Okay, here's the images of the black and the white on pottery. What this video is purporting is that Egyptians or Ethiopians came there and they settled there and civilized. I'm not making that claim. I'm saying that the original people, this is what they don't, white people don't have an original civilization. All they have ever done is went in and took a civilization that was already in existence and claimed it for themselves. Same thing they did here in America. They are from the caves. Okay, when you read about the caveman and you talking about 900 million years ago, the caveman was in a cave hitting the woman over the head with a rock and dragging her to the cave. Okay, that's their origin. And it wasn't 900 million years ago. Okay.
Right, that's crazy. That number is wild.
Yeah. So they moved in, and I'm going to show you them coming in. I'm going to show you what they brought in, the filth and debauchery that they brought into Greece, because Greece was not originally that way. We credit Greece for homosexuality and pedophilia. Well, did that originate in Greece? We're going to find out. All right. We're going to find out that it came in through conquering group of people. We're going to get this information. All right. We're going to play a little bit more of this video, then we're going to bring it out.
Africans in Greece kickstarted the whole Aegean civilization. In the early era, Minoans and Mycenaeans were considered the first high culture in Europe, where none existed before. Unlike the ancient Egyptians, they were not predominantly black. But one thing is certain. It is that the whole Aegean civilization and all the hallmarks that we associate with it, from religion, writing, science, architecture, and philosophy, these pillars of Greek civilization were clearly seeded by Africans from the Nubio-Kemetic civilization complex. And there is a plethora of evidence that shows this. Evidence not just from archaeology, but first accounts from the Greeks themselves, who attest that their civilization was beholden to the Africans. Evidence that is well known by historians today, but seldom shared. While searching for the presence of African DNA in ancient civilization, you will come across statements like these made in a BBC article about the origin of ancient Minoan and Mycenaean DNA. By contrast, the researchers found no evidence for proposed migrations to Greece from ancient Egypt or from the areas of the Eastern Mediterranean occupied by the Phoenician seafaring culture. This assertion warrants critical examination in light of existing research. Prior DNA analyses have indicated a significant African genetic contribution to the early Greek populations. This finding is further corroborated by evidence drawn from early Hellenic textual sources.
Remember what it says about the Mycenaean Empire. We're going to talk about the Mycenaean Empire in just a minute. We're going to show you that they got conquered by a foreign group of people. All right. And you're going to understand that the way this video is presenting it as if Africans came in from Africa, settled and civilized. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that black people were already there, and it was white people that came in, not the other way around. All right?
Iconographic representations in art and numismatics, and identifiable cultural markers, elements forming the basis of the present analysis. A crucial distinction must be emphasized.
I also want to point out that I'm not saying that Greece was not heavily influenced by Egypt or Libya or Ethiopia. Yes, there are major influences, but you have to understand that was based upon certain interactions that came later when Greeks started to travel into Egypt and into Ethiopia and then brought those influences back. Why? Because these were the white Greeks that were searching for ways to improve their Greek civilization. All right.
Demonstrating foundational African influences on Greek civilization does not equate to classifying the entirety of that civilization as black. Rather, the argument posits that key developments, including writing systems, cultural practices, technological advancements, scientific knowledge, along with significant genetic admixture, originated from populations identified as African, preceding the evolution of the phenotype more commonly associated with later Greek periods. One groundbreaking study in 2001 examined immunogenetic markers, HLA genes of Greeks, and found something startling. Antonio Arnaiz Vilena and his team reported that Greeks are found to have a substantial relatedness to sub-Saharan Ethiopian people, which separates them from other Mediterranean groups. Both Greeks and Ethiopians share.
I want everybody to pay attention to the Macedonians. The Macedonians are also going to be brought up in the information that I'm about to bring out.
Quasi-specific DRB1 alleles. In plain terms, certain genetic variants common in Ethiopians and other sub-Saharan Africans were also found in Greek samples, and these variants were rare or absent in other Europeans. The study noted that in genetic distance analyses and cluster diagrams, Greeks
All right. So I want to take a look at something, right? So as we look and we see, and I want to answer this person's question, right? They said, this is deep. I've never heard it like this before. So Jeremiah, are you saying Khazarians plus Asians equal the word Caucasian? No, I'm not saying that these two words together create the word Caucasian. Caucasian comes from the Caucasus, which comes from a region that encompasses the Black Sea over here, right? And the reason that they're called Caucasians is because they come from the Caucasus Mountains. So they're crediting their migration from there over into Europe. It's a migration thing. It's a migration thing, right? But the Khazars were the second-class citizens to the Khazars, and then they overthrew the original Khazars, which were black people, with the help of Attila the Hun. All right, and then 400 years later, the Khazarians got destroyed. Maharka, are you there? They got destroyed by Genghis Khan. And we're going to read this real quick. And this is how the so-called Jewish people got into Poland and Germany. Turn the book over you got, Maharka, and read the back from the top.
All right. Put on my eyes. This book traces the history of the ancient Khazar Empire, a major but almost forgotten power in Eastern Europe, which which in the Dark Ages became converted to Judaism. Khazaria was finally wiped out by the forces of Genghis Khan, but evidence indicates that the Khazars themselves migrated to Poland and formed the cradle of Western Jewry.
That's right. So as you can see, these are, go ahead and take this down. These are the end result. So that means that the original Khazarians were black if this is the end result. These are the people, the Khazars, the ones that migrated into Poland, the ones that was helped by Attila the Hun. Now, Genghis Khan came 400, 300, 400 years later and wiped them out, all right, and pushed those people out as they pushed out the original Khazarians. Man, this is a diabolical scheme, and a lot of people have a tough time tracing this history because they ain't never heard it before. You understand? So once we're bringing out this information showing that Japhet family, Japhet, they're black. Ham is black. Shem is black. So where did the whitening of the earth, where did that come from? Why do we have light-skinned Chinese people, light-skinned Persians, light-skinned Arabians, light-skinned Egyptians? Why do we have this? Where did it come from? Well, that trait came straight out of Alexander the Great. We're going to read about his father here in a minute. All right. So now I want to share this article to prove that there was an influx of not people from Africa into Greece, but people from the northern region of Greece, which is where Macedonia is. Right? We're going to connect all these pieces, right? So we're going to read this article. Maharkar, can you see the screen?
I don't see it yet till you pull it up.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. We're going to talk about this invasion here. All right.
The Dorian invasion of Greece refers to the, pull it back some, right there. The Dorian invasion of Greece refers to the migration of the Dorian people into the Paleoponnese around 1100 BCE, making a significant transition in ancient Greek history. This event is often associated with the collapse of Mycenaean civilization.
Remember that Mycenaean? We watched that in the video. They talked about who? The Mycenaeans. Go ahead.
And the subsequent displacement of pre-Dorian populations who migrated to areas like the west coast of Anatolia and Cyprus. The Dorians spread throughout mainland Greece, overtaking city-states and enslaving local inhabitants, which led to profound cultural and social changes in the region. The invasion is also linked to mythological return of the Hercules, I think that's Hercules or Herculdea, whatever, symbolizing a pivotal movement that ended the Bronze Age in Greece.
Right. So, as we can see, family, right? As we can see, there was a migration from where? From the north. There was an invasion from the north, right? So this invasion didn't come from the south, which is where this is why chronography comes into play. It's very important, right? I want to add something here. All right. So now we want to read about Antipater. Let me see. Ancient Greece. All right. So it says Antipater was a Macedonian general, regarded and statements under the succession kingship of Philip II of Macedon and his son Alexander the Great. In the wake of the collapse of the Aegean house, remember we just read about this. When did that happen? When the Dorans came in, all of this is in succession with one another. The collapse of the Aegean house, his son Claudius eventually ruled Macedon as the king in his own right, probably acting during the reign of Perdiccas, right? Let me see here. You see this on the screen, Mahal? All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what we're showing here, family, is the information of how the house of Philip got into Macedon. We're going to bring that out. We're going to deal with just that on its own, right? Read that family background, Maharaka, real quick.
Antipater belonged to the Macedonian noble house of Laulos, which may have been serving the Argean kings of Macedon. That's all I can see.
Since as early as 432 BC, Antipater and his family may have been distinct collaborators relating to the Aegean dynasty born in around 400 BC to the Macedonian nobles called the Laos. Antipater was originally from Macedonian city of Pelera, had a brother called Claudius or Asinius. So what we're doing is we're showing that in Macedon, in this northern region, right? Let me see if I can get a Greek map here. See if I can get a Greek map. Right? Let's look at Greece. All right. All right. So as you can see here, this is a map of Greece. So they would have been coming up here from this region down into Greece, right? So we have Turkey right here. So these people were of a lower class state. They were not as prominent as the Greeks. Who am I talking about? The Macedonians. Hey, Maharaka, can you read 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 1? 1 Maccabees 1 and 1. You're on mute.
Pulling it up.
All right. And you can share your screen if you want to, so that people can see it. So the connections that we're making is that these people have a connection to this collective group of foreigners outside of Greece from the Macedonian region coming into Greece, and they brought certain culture, deplorable culture, with them. And we're going to show it to you in just a moment, right? So first, I want to show you the origins of Alexander the Great. When we've spoken about the whiteness permeating through the earth, how did it get in Asia? How did it get in the so-called Middle East? How did it get there? Through the conquests of Alexander the Great, who commanded his generals to spread forth their seed. They did this on purpose. Someone says, wow, the truth is all coming together. All praise and glory. Yeah, you was supposed to see the map. Hold on. Let me see if I can pull that up. All right, so here's the map. Can you see the map, Maharaka?
Yeah, I can see the map.
All right. So this is Greece. So in these areas, we see that they came from northward down. All right. Macedonia is up in this area. All right. And they came southward. They didn't come from Africa into Greece and then created all of this stuff. We're showing you the falls of the Black Empire, the Black Greeks, and their fall. How did they fall? Through the Macedonians. Read what you got, Mahal. You're on mute.
Maccabees, you want me to read Maccabees?
Come on, come.
You want me to put it on the screen? I'll read
Hold
it.
on, I'm adding it now.
All right, this is first book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 1. And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim and had smitten Darius, king of the Persian and Medes, that he reigned and esteemed the first over Greece.
So now, are you telling me that Alexander was the first king of Greece? No, he's the first Macedonian king of Greece. That's what it's talking about, right? So you have, like with King James, I have a book here called King James the First and the Sixth. He was the sixth King James of Scotland and the first James of England. So when it says the first to reign over Greece, he was the first Macedonian to reign over Greece. Read that again, Mahal.
And it happened after that, Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
That's right.
That he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
See that? So Philip, Alexander's father, if you know anything concerning what transpired, he was brutally murdered at his coronation. I'm talking about Alexander's father. As his coronation to become king of Greece, he was murdered. Philip. So he didn't get to sit as king. And then Alexander was placed as king. Now, they had a question concerning Alexander's mother because Philip had another son by a different woman. And they said that she was afraid that Alexander would never ascend to the throne. So she had Philip killed. And so that Alexander could sit on the throne without threat of his other son. And Alexander had his other son, his father's father's son, murdered. All right. This is the kind of games that they play. All right. So now I want to read this. Right. Look at this, Maha. All right. Can you see this on the screen?
Yeah.
This is Job 30. Read what you got.
But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I will have disdained, to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, and whom old age was perished. For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Who cut up mallows by the bushes and Jupiter roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as a thief, as a thief, as a thief. I'm sorry, they cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes, they brayed under the nettles, they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And now I am their song, yea, I am their byword. Deuteronomy 28. They hate me. They flee far from me and spare not to spit in my face, because he have loosed my cord and afflicted me. They have also let loose the bridle before me.
All right. So it says here, they were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. What is this talking about? You're reading this, family, and you don't understand what it's in reference to. We're going to show you. What does it mean that they were viler than the earth? Maharaka, let's go back to the Arthur Coastlar, and I want you to pick up at we're going to show you what does it mean that they were vile. Okay. Now, again, this comes from writings from Ivan Fedorlin, which is a primary source, right? An eyewitness account of the practice and the culture of these people. All right, let's go to page 38 and let's start at the second paragraph. They're women, right? The Bible says they were fools, they were children of base men, they were viler than the earth. Let's see what it's talking about.
It says the sexual mores of the Guz and other tribes were a remarkable mixture of liberalism and savagery. Their women wear no veils in the presence of their men or strangers, nor do the women cover any parts of their bodies in the presence of people. Sounds like Babylon. Great.
Yeah, right now you got the damn yoga pants damn marathon everywhere. Where did that come from? These women don't cover themselves up. Oh, well, I'm liberal, I'm free, I can wear and dress how I want to. Where is this coming from? Where is this coming from, family? This is coming from the people calling themselves Caucasian. What we're reading about is in the Caucasus Mountains. Read on up.
One day we stayed at the place of a Guz and were sitting around. His wife was also present. As we conversed, the woman uncovered her private parts and scratched them. And we all saw it. Yuck. Thereupon, we covered our faces and said, "May God forgive me." Man, the husband laughed and said to the interpreter, Tell them we uncovered it in your presence so that you may see and restrain yourselves. But it cannot be obtained. What kind of freak world
What
is
kind
that?
of philosophy is that? Right.
Right.
Someone said,
I want to tempest me a style.
right.
Boy, I tell you. Oh, very good. Right? This is better than when it is covered up and yet attainable. What kind of backwards madness is this? Adultery. Straight
Right.
Satan and backwards adultery. That is some backwards philosophy, my man.
Right.
Like, come on. What are you talking about? Right? Adultery is alien to them. Yet when they discover that someone is an adulterer, they split him in two halves. So you're gonna tempest me aside.
Right.
So you can split me in two. What are we doing? My goodness, man. Yo, stop playing. You know I'm about to highlight this. Crazy. Adultery is alien to them. I don't know how. Yet when they discover that someone is an adulterer, they split him in two halves. They do by bringing together the branches of two trees, tie them to the branches, then let both trees go so that the man tied to them is torn in two. So you're gonna tempest me a style,
right,
for me not to do it,
right,
right? Because the judgment is you're gonna be split in two. So you're just gonna,
yeah, set me up for failure, right?
Go ahead, so I can split down in two.
But look, the Bible says what?
It ain't saying no judgment for the woman though.
But look, it says they were children of food, yea, children of base men. They were valor and earth.
Children of fools. That's a foolish backwards scenario there.
Right.
So don't cover them up. So because if you cover them up, that's when you really tempted.
Right.
But when they naked, that's when you're not tempted. What?
This the synagogue of Satan. Makes no sense to a logical mind.
I ain't gonna hold you, man. Where my mark at?
Yeah. Look, man.
I gotta put that in black. Right. I gotta use this for that one, buddy. That was crazy.
You're gonna need 39 too. We're about to go in.
That's crazy. All right, let me finish.
Yes.
He does not say whether the same punishment was meted out to the guilty woman. Right, just like I said.
To the guilty woman, right.
Later on, because she's the tool of Satan, the tempest style. So you get split in half. Right? Later on, when talking about the vulgar bulgars, he described an equally savage method of splitting adulterers into two, applied to both men and women. See, that's crazy. Now, if the woman could get judged too, but you put her in a situation,
right,
to tempt the man, and if it's something that she like, you just mad. Come on, man.
Don't make sense.
Yet he notes with astonishment, bulgars of both sexes swim naked in their rivers and have as little bodily shame as the guz. So a bunch of people, a part of this tribe, they all in the water on their Adam and Eve.
Right.
Hey, we just out here doing the work. Okay. As for homosexuality, and you know, this is what they do today. They have the nude beach.
Right.
You know, black people doing it. It may have a couple of sprinkles that's going there to the thing, the freak off, but you know dang well Junebug, Rufus, and them, little Mike T-Bone, we not doing it.
Nah.
You know the scripture is not letting you swim around butt naked around some other women.
Right.
That's not the cat. Come on, man. We not doing that. That's in the wow. As for homosexuality, which in Arab country was taken as a matter of course, that's the guy you quoted.
Ivan Fetterman, yes, sir.
Ivan Fetterman says that it is regarded by the Turks as a terrible sin. But in the only episode he relates to prove his point, the seducer of a beardless youth gets away with a fine of 400 sheep.
Right.
So the man that's on the Leviticus 20:13, the homosexual person who deals with a man without a beard,
a child. That's what they saying. A child, a youth,
a youth. You know, because well, we don't know what the youth is according to their structure, because Philo says 21 to 27. But let's say beardless, because you got a beard at that time for real,
right? So beardless is under
child,
that.
a child, right? So you got to give up 400 sheeps, right? I mean, that's a lot of sheep, but right, the Most High. I mean, that's a lot of sheep for somebody to have to pay that. You're gonna be a slave forever, probably. But but the Most High is finish you off,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Like accustomed to the splendid baths of Baghdad, our travailer could not get over the dirtiness of the Turks. The Guz do not wash themselves after defecating or urinating, nor do they bathe after seminal pollutions, or on other occasions. They refuse to have anything to do with water, particularly in winter. And that doesn't sound too far from Esau. I mean, it doesn't for real. You know what I'm saying? Especially them, you know. When the Guz commander in chief took off his luxurious coat of brocade to don a new coat the mission had bought him, they saw that his underclothes were fraying apart from dirt, for it is their custom never to take off the garment they wear close to their bodies until it disintegrates. What? Disintegrates?
Disintegrate, right.
Man, come on, man. They will be doing. Ooh, wee. Another Turkish tribe, the Bashkirts, shave their beards and eat their lice. I remember the elder was reading this, man, back in the, you know what I'm saying? Like, Shai was going. They searched the folds of their undergarments and cracked the lice with their teeth.
So now there's a movie you can go see called Caveman, right? Where they was doing that, going through each other's hair and cracking the lice with their teeth. There's a movie on that. But that didn't happen 900 million years ago. This is the 7th century AD, man. This is 7th century AD.
So they wearing the same. Let's imagine, sisters. Guy you meet, he got on the fresh clothes. The coat looked good. Nice jacket. Feeling them, vibing them. Then all of a sudden, get to the work. Take off the clothes. They got some dusty, dingy, tore up boxes on. About to disintegrate on. This crazy work, man. Crazy. All in all, it is not an engaging picture. Our fastidious travelers, content for the barbarians, was profound. But it was only aroused by their uncleanliness in what he considered as indecent exposure of the body, the savagery of their punishments and sacrificial rites leave him quite indifferent. Thus, he described the Bogards' punishment for manslaughter with detached interest, without his otherwise frequent expressions of indignation. They make for him, the delinquent, a box of birchwood, put him inside, nail the lid on the box, put 3 loaves of bread.
Yeah. That's it on that, right? So I'm showing what the Bible says they were the children of fools, yea, the children of base men. They were viler than the earth. How do you take that out of the Bible and understand that in its totality? Well, we just read this, family. We're showing you these Khazarians are Khazars who overthrew the original Japhetic people called Khazars, who were black, right? And then this is how they started. This is how they lived, right? So now I have a book here. Now remember, we was talking about the invasion down from the Macedonians, right? And the people of Doron down into Greece. Well, here's a book here called Love in Ancient Greece, right? So it's gonna regurgitate these names and these cities. Now listen to this, Maharaka. It says, nevertheless, this is page 64 in a book called Ancient Love in Ancient Greece by Robert Fletcher, right? That in the screen. Y'all want to go get that? All right. Ancient Love. All right. So this is page 64. Second paragraph. It says, nevertheless, it seems quite likely that preteriste was not introduced into Greece or at any related time did not prevail there at any great extent before the Doron invasion. Now, we just read about the Doron invasion, correct, Mahal?
Right.
We just read about that, right? Let me see here. Where is it at? Here it is. We just read about this, right? Now, it says preteriste, which is pedophilia, brothers and sisters, was not originated in Greece, but it came in with this invasion of these people from the north, these cavemen. That's why it says here, where is it at? That's why it says here what? But now that they are younger than, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would not have disdained to set with the dogs of my flock. Right? It says what? They were derived, they were driven from amongst men. They cried after them like as a thief, to dwell in the clefts of the rocks, the clefts of the valleys, in caves of the earth and in the rocks. These were the Romans that was pushed out by Septimius Severus and General Niger. In 193 AD, that was pushed into the Caucasus Mountains, which got encapsulated at the end of Constantine when he created Constantine's wall to keep these Roman aristocrats out. And this is what they ultimately degenerated to, the ancient Romans. A lot of you don't know this history, man. And this is the problem, right? So let me read on here. it says, nevertheless, it seems quite likely that the preteriste was not introduced into Greece, or at any rate did not prevail there at any great extent before the Duran invasion. For in historical times, as we shall soon see, it flourished mainly and attracted most attractions amongst the population of the Duran descent. Homer describes the Messenian civilization of the 13th and 14th century BC, the age of bronze. To all appearance, it was the Duran invasion of the 13th century BC who introduced the Greeks both to the use of iron and homosexuality. Did you hear that, Mahal?
Right.
When they came in, they introduced them to homosexual practices and iron. Who? The Messenian dynasty. Right? In any case, the Greeks themselves considered that preteriste, which is pedophilia, was relatively a recent origin amongst them. And extort attributed to the Lacinians, there is a dialogue in which the defender of homosexuality admits that it is not a very ancient custom, which means the original Greeks was not doing this until the caveman came in from the Duran invasion, from the Macedonian region. See? Come on, man. Wake up. White Macedonians came into the Greece, which were black people, and overthrew them. It says what? A former echoes, he says, male love affairs were unknown in those days. It was perceived as deplorable to couples with women in order to preserve human race from extinction. Only with the advance of divine philosophy did homosexuality develop. We should be careful to note that condoms was invented merely because it came later. Let us agree that the old custom arose from later customs, but that subsequent revolt due to the intelligence of men ought to be more highly regarded. It says here, on the other hand, the champion of homosexuality loves accession. Homosexuality resembles a son born late of parents past supplant his elder brother legitimate love. For it was only yesterday, or at best the day before yesterday, that the primary claim came into being. To view the genes in which youth then first began to stripe for exercise. Maharaka, I need you to read something real quick. This came in with the Greeks. I want you to go to the book of Maccabees, second Maccabees, where it talks about the place for exercise. Let me see real quick. They made them wear a hat and all that. Is that second Maccabees or first Maccabees?
Oh, I don't remember. I'll find it.
I got you. I got you. All right. So it says here, First Maccabees chapter 13, starting at the 27th verse.
So First Maccabees?
Yeah, First Maccabees chapter 13, verse 27. Start at 27.
Simon also built a monument upon the sepulchre of his father and his brethren, and raised it aloft to the site.
Oh, hold on. That's not it. That's well, that's the pyramid joint. Hold on. Salak. Second Maccabees 4:9. Salakia.
Second Maccabees chapter 4, verse 9. It reads, besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if you might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the fashions of the heathen, and to write them of Jerusalem by the name of the Antochins, which when the king was granted and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation to Greekish fashions, and the royal privilege granted for special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amity and aid. He took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. Now such was the height of Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch, and no high priest, that the priests had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifice, hastened to the partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus, called them forth.
All right, that's it on that. So now I just sent you some. I want you to read this because I want the people to see that it ain't coming from me, right? So this is what we just read. This is what I sent you is from page 65, Love in Ancient Greece. All right.
You sent it to Facebook?
Text message. You can turn your phone sideways and spread the screen so you can see it.
Hold on. All right. Let me get it. Hold on. Sorry. Give me just 1 second. All right, I can read it though. Homosexuality.
Yeah.
All right. It says to view the games in which youths then first began to strip for exercise. Quite quietly at the first, he started touching and embracing the boys.
This is wild, man. Wild.
Oh, let me send it to my email so I can let the people see it for real. Hold on, let me get it there right quick.
Remember, the Bible says these people are children of fools, children of base men. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men.
Get that freak on, man. It's crazy, crazy work. Here we go. Greek. Let me share my screen. Go like that. Okay, open it. All right, so let me do this. All right. All right. You can see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Zoom in a little. Zoom
All
in.
right.
And then scroll down. Zoom in on it. Yep.
To view the games in which Houston first began to strip.
Now start from the beginning.
Yesterday, or at best, the day before yesterday, that the pederast, pederast, I like
pederast, right?
Slinking. Sound like a straight pedal. Slinking into our gymnasium.
Slinking into our gymnasium. Come on.
Yes. Yesterday, or at best, the day before yesterday, that the pederast came slinking into our gymnasium. Paul, to view the games in which youths then first began to strip for exercise. Quite quietly, at first, he started touching and embracing the boys.
This is just uncomfortable to read, man. Come on, man.
But gradually, in those arenas, he grew wings. Heroes being always represented winged, and then there was no holding him. Nowadays,
he grew wings, he became more bolder and bolder with his behavior. But go ahead.
There was no holding him. Nowadays, he regularly insults conjugal love and drags it through the mud.
Damn.
This passes by Plutarch notes an important fact. There can be no doubt that the development of homosexuality was connected with the rise of gymnasia and arenas in which boys practice the 5 exercises of the pentathon, whatever that is. The pentathon or pentathon, whatever.
Right.
Which comprise wrestling, the foot race, leaping, throwing the discus, and hurling the javelin. Others were boxing and the pancration, a mixture of fist fighting and wrestling. The competitor was always naked and watched by admiring spectators.
So these people were naked, all right? And for all you damn sportalites out there, right? Boxing was included too, and wrestling. Imagine wrestling butt naked, man.
Trying to grab words.
Right. And go back up real quick.
Oh, my bad. Let me put it back on the screen, Paul. Well, you trying to body slam somebody like?
Yeah. Oh my God, man. Come on, man.
All full of words. Yo, where we at with it?
All right. So someone says Greek culture only highlights the perversion which the Luciferians openly mock the holy standard Yah has set for humanity, for all humanity, especially for his covenant relation people. Yeah, that's true. But I want you to understand this, that it was not the Greek culture. It was the culture of these cave dwellers, the Macedonians who came into Greece. They brought this culture into Greece because before that, it did not exist, family. It's important that you understand this. That's why the Bible says they were children of fools. Children of basement.
Born in hell.
Right?
Hey, right here it said that women were almost entirely excluded from Greek, I guess, life, which resembles
brother, you got to go back up so we can get it all, brother. You jumping in, willing and dealing, brother. We trying to get it all of the worlds. Right? So I want to make this clear. It says, there was no, go back up, go back down a little bit. There could be no doubt that the development of homosexuality was connected with the rise of gymnasiums, right? We gotta get it to YMCA. We gotta get it to the YMCA. See? You sending your children over there and all that, and it's the place of homosexuality. That's why when you go to your gym, you work out. For all of you gymalites out there, you go in the gym and you go in the locker room, men just walking around butt naked in there. Okay, like it's cool. And mainly those other kind of people. Right? So this is a normal practice in this atmosphere. That's why when you watch movies like Any Given Sunday, the owner would come in and the brothers will be butt naked walking around in there. Because that is the normal development dealing with gymnasium and exercise. Right? But read on, Mahal. Let's go. This will be it on here.
All right, let me go back to the thing. So you want me to read from there can be no doubt that the development of homosexuality was connected with the rise of gymnasia and arenas in which boys practiced the 5 exercises of the pentathlon, which comprised wrestling, the foot race, leaping, throwing the disc, and hurling the javelin. Others were boxing and the pancreation, a mixture of fist fighting and wrestling. The competitors was always naked and watched by admiring spectators. I'm sorry, man. I'm not doing that, bro. Just never do that. But I can't be there, bro. That's crazy work.
Read it again.
I said others were boxing and pancreation, a mixture of fist fighting and wrestling. The competitors was always naked and watched by admiring spectators. So if you there, you in the world. Real crazy.
Right.
You in the admiring world? What? Yo, stop playing. That's a major pause. Man,
right.
The same work, 759F, Plutarch tells us that Piaces, in love with a certain youth, whom a rich widow wanted to marry, imitated ill-conditioned lovers of the ordinary sort and trying to prevent his friend from marrying. The man's only objective was to prolong the pleasure he took in watching the boy strip in the arena while he still retained his virgin beauty. Man,
yo, this is wild.
This is like the gay Bible status, man. You know what I'm saying? Perversion. Most gymnasia contained not only a statue of Hermes, but also one of Eros. We have already quoted Athenaeus to the effect that there was an image of Eros at the academy, which was the gymnasium in which Plato met his disciples.
See that? So this is also aligned with paganism. This is normal practice for them, right? So come on.
The Greeks were at all times, as we noted in the case of Homer's Helen, most sensitive to physical beauty, whether masculine or feminine. This susceptibility was felt even in the most ascetic of friendships when the lover desired nothing more from his beloved than the pleasures of the eyes. It should be borne in mind that women were almost entirely excluded from Greek games life, which resembles a man's club. Yeah, that's Leviticus 20:13 all day long. You butt naked wrestling. You butt naked running. You up there butt naked running, right? Leaping, jumping in the air, all kind of worlds is leaping as well as floating crazy, throwing the disc and hurling the javelin. yo, stop playing, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing but men, bro. I don't want to see that. I would see the women. If anything, I would see the women. They had the female, the gymnasium world. This is women doing it.
Nah, man. You have to understand what we're dealing with. We're dealing with what? Children of fools. Children of base men. They were vile.
Like the NBA, you had the WNBA.
Nah, man, because they felt like women were, less intelligible. You understand? So, but again, this is just doors to lead into their debauchery. You understand? And this is aligning with their gods in the worship of their gods, man.
Yo, somebody said the voice while reading. I'm being sarcastic for real. Yo, because I'm saying it got to be on some type of madness, man, to be even thinking about something crazy like that, man. That's wow.
Yeah, man. Again, man, it's a sickening thing, but it's important that we bring these things out because people that we talk to regularly, Maha, believe white people are the greatest thing since sliced bread. And nothing is great unless it comes from the white man. You understand? This is a very, very disturbing attitude when you actually understand their origins. They come out of the caves. They never built any great civilization of their own. They've always came in, stole it, and claimed it for themselves. This is factual truth, man. You understand? And so I'm showing you that all the history that we have substantiating the original people of Japheth being black, showing that there was a white group of people that came in Europe, in Russia, and usurped through the help of Genghis Attila the Hun to usurp the original children of Japheth, which were Khazarians, and then they became known as Khazarians. This is what they do. This is their MO. They came over here to America, stole the land. Now they Americans. You understand? They went to Brazil, stole the land of Brazil. Now they Brazilian. Right?
South Africans, they are that.
Yeah, man. So I think this is a powerful information. I didn't want to hold y'all this long, man, but we had 2 hours, man. So I appreciate the time sincerely. You know, if you guys have any questions, reach out to me, man. We definitely can get it in. All right. So somebody says, what line did white people come from? White people come from Esau. Okay. Through their intermingling with the Horites. Now, the Edomites intermingle with other races. Esau's sons married Israelites. They married Ishmaelites, right? So their pheno is going to be altered. You understand? But it wasn't until the marriage with the Horites is where you get so-called white people. All right. So, that's another lesson for another day. But their origins is Esau.
And they say it. They know it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They tell you Herod the Great was an Esau, Edomite. Genesis 36. They know. And Moses was creating a nation. Understand that in Genesis 25. that this nation was going to be created, just like Jacob has 12 sons.
And y'all have to understand this too, man. When you're looking at the landscape of the tribal origins, Esau and Jacob was one of the last tribal origins, right? And so that's why in the last days, give me that in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, man. In the last days, it says that it's gonna go down between a war between these two people, Esau and Jacob. And so who do we see on top right now? Esau. The Bible tells you in Genesis that they was going to have their time to rule. Right? 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 9.
Let me share my screen. 2nd Ezra 6, and I'm gonna start with verse. I'm gonna start with 6. No, I'm gonna start with 7. Then answered I said, what should be the parting asunder of times? 6 and 7. Or when shall be the end of the first, right? And the beginning of it that followeth. So when you know the story of Jacob and Esau, Esau came out first, Jacob came out last. And he said, unto me from Abraham unto Isaac. And when Jacob and Esau was born, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand.
That's right. So that's where we are in the landscape. So if you ever heard somebody say we living in the last days, if we are living in the last days, then Esau must be ruling, right? Isaiah chapter 36. No, Isaiah 56 says that. No, Isaiah 63. Get that out. Isaiah 63. First nation that Christ is going to deal with when he returns is Esau. Why? Because they're the ones that's ruling, right? So while you getting that, Light Warrior, I agree with you, but a lot of our brothers are not in position to receive that understanding, right? So I'm not trying to be controversial here. I'm just going to leave it with the position that Esau mixed with the Horites, and that's what we can actually read in the Bible, all right? But I agree with you, right? He says here, so the Horites is the mysterious people that no one knows where they came from. Are the Horites the fallen angel offspring? I believe so. But there are brothers in the community that don't believe it. Maharakah don't believe that, right? So that's fine. I'll stick with the Horites, and and I'll leave it at that because that's what we can actually read in the text, right? So, out of respect for my brother and my elder on the line, I'm going to leave it with the Horites, all right? Light Warrior says, seeing Japheth took on the complexion of Noah, and his brother Ham and Shem took on the complexion of their grandfather Lamech. No, that is incorrect. When you read in the book of Enoch about so-called Noah being the color of basically an albino, right? When you go into the original text in the Hebrew, when you read in the Songs of Solomon and it says Solomon was white, this word white in the Hebrew just simply means dazzling, all right? So the man was a good-looking child. It says something about his eyes lighting up the room, but the eyes lighting up the room is not because you have colored eyes, right? Someone can bring a baby in and they could light up the room. We have to understand Hebrew idioms, right? So there are certain people who have made those claims. I just don't agree with them. All right. Go ahead, read what you got, Mahal.
All right. It reads, who is this that cometh from Edom? I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Who is this that cometh from Edom who died? I'm sorry. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thy apparel, and thy garments like him that treadeth in the wine fat? I have trodden the wine press alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I would tread them in my anger and trample them in my fury, and their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments. I will stain all my raiment, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, and the year of my redeeming is come. And I looked, and there was none to help, and I wondered that there was none to uphold. Therefore my own arm brought salvation unto me, and my fury it upheld me. And I would tread down the people in my anger and make them drunk in my fury, and I would bring down their strength to the earth. I would mention the loving kindness of Yahweh and the praise of Yahweh.
All right, Salakia, that's it on that. I just wanted to show the family that Esau is the first people that Christ is going to deal with when he comes back. All right. So Esau is the end of the world. How do we come to the conclusion that white people are descendant of Esau? Because they are ruling. All right. They are ruling. The Bible says that Jacob took hold of Esau's heel. So that means once white people rule, there's not going to be another group that comes in, Ishmaelites come in, or some Egyptians come in. People are saying the Muslims is going to come in the next to rule the Muslim. No, Jacob took hold of Esau's heel. That means it's going to be a straight succession from Esau into Jacob. It ain't gonna be nobody in between there coming up where the white man is ruling right now. Then the Muslims is gonna come in and rule. And no. Which, contrary to popular belief, the Muslims are Edomites too. We're reading about the Gauls and the Turks, right? The Ottoman Turk Empire, they are Edomites as well. Esau is ruling at the end of the world.
He's everywhere.
Right?
He's everywhere. I got this verse right here. He's in Ezekiel 25. I'll go what you just read in Isaiah. It says, thus said Yahweh, because that Edom have dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus say Yahweh, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they should do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they should know my vengeance, said Yahweh.
That's right. That's right, man. You understand? So, again, all right. So yeah, man. So with that being said, man, we appreciate you all, man. Load up the comment section, man. Share this video, get it out. You know, I'm gonna make sure that the brothers see this because there was some powerful information revealed on here. What do you think, Mahal?
Hey, man, you did a good job, bro. Excellent job bringing out the history and stuff like that. You know, need to keep it up, you know. That book, this book right here, y'all need to get it, order it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna have to really get in the book.
Yeah, you got to get this too, Mahal. This is Ivan Fetterlin. This is the actually original book that he.
Send me that so I can go buy that joint right now in the world.
Gotcha. All right. With that being said, family, want to bid you a blessed close out to your Shabbat. May the Most High continue to rain blessings down upon you. May He strengthen us in these last days, man. We got hard times ahead of us, man. If you have any death in your family, if you experience any funerals as of late, let us not cry so much. We know you're going to cry, but understand they are moving on to a better place. We are the ones left for the hard times, all right? So at least you can have some sort of solace or hope in that, all right? So with that being said, man, Yahweh Shemi Al Shabrakatah, Kwam Yashala, man.
Little motherfucker gonna try to rob me. Well, I'm gonna show you how we do it up here in Benton. Look, I wasn't trying to rob. Shut up! Before I bust a cap up in you. Now who sent you?
So what's up? We standing tall in your short stuff.
Yes.
Our lunch is the bullshit that you dressed up. Address us on scholarship, homie, knowing you're messed up. So fessed up, you look for the best, knowing that that's us. So what's up? We standing tall in your short stuff.
Yes.
Our lunch is the bullshit that you dressed up. Address us on scholarship, homie, knowing you're messed up. So fessed up, you look for the best, knowing that that's us. Sword clown, know that it's over like it's the fourth down. We the source now. Hear a big bang with tanks on ground. More than a scrimmage, yeah, we forcing the sin, yeah, we pushing no limit. Leave the fight with no blemish. You the hometown, but you not receiving no privilege. We gon' do you bad, rape, rob, and pillage. But we nothing like the white man. I can see that you a big fan. Every time we go live, I see you in the damn stands. Watching and plotting, I see that you stalking a bit.
Yes.
Laughing at people, they seeing you taking
Here's
a
the
bit.
definition of plagiarism. The practice of taking someone else's work and ideas and mixing them all into
Crazy ass nigga, we the source, yeah, we cite source. Spitting hot flames more hotter than hot sauce. For real? Drummy ass nigga,
All different type of information every week. Let me speak. If you subscribe, we're going deep. Love talk, sister E. God's work, sister E. Charity, sister